started. So I am clicking the go live button and we are live. So I've got our logo up there. Good evening and welcome if you're joining us tonight live or later. Tonight is Sunday, October 10th. We're Bob Joynson and my name is Bo Gordy-Stith, are here hosting our second edition of Hope Floats, a journey through the different ministries at Epworth or through Epworth Church. And tonight, we're joined by our special guests, Penny MacLennan and Dill Patz, who are representing our Food and Love Ministries here at Epworth United Methodist Church. So we're going to be talking about the partnership that we have. Dill is part of a team or leading the team from Seaside Jewish Community, who is partnering with us. It's not the only partnership that we share with Seaside Jewish Community, but this is one of the most important partnerships between our respective communities of faith. And so we're glad to be celebrating that partnership and the good things that God is calling us to do together. So I'm gonna let me do a quick transition to the gang of us so you can see everybody. Here we go. I'm getting all my tech together. There we go. This is all four of us. So you can see our happy faces. And I'll turn it over for a moment so Bob can share a few words of introduction so we can get started tonight. 2 weeks ago, we celebrated the 500th continuous Sunday of preparing or cooking food and serving love at Epworth since the start of this ministry shortly after we moved into this building. So Bob, want to get us started?
Okay, sure. First of all, just a couple of housekeeping items for those of you who are listening live. At any time, if you have questions, please use the chat or comment feature. Type your questions in, and we will do our best to address them either along the way or at the end, depending upon the question. So that will make you part of the discussion. And the two ladies who are with us have been doing this for quite a while. They have a lot of interesting stories and tidbits that they could share. And I guess the best place to start would probably be at the beginning. As we moved the church from Baltimore Ave in Rehoboth to our current location, we have a much bigger space, and this bigger space includes a professional kitchen, which no doubt made it much easier for this food ministry. So I guess right now would probably be the best time for probably Penny to start us on a recap of the journey, if you will, from Baltimore Avenue to the current church and all that we've done in serving those meals for 500 plus consecutive Sundays. Penny, I'll turn it over to you.
All righty. Well, thank you, Bob. First off, it's a pleasure to be here and to talk about what's near and dear to my heart. Another lady and I started speaking probably even almost a year before we moved. Sylvia Walker from Seaford had moved to Rehoboth, and she kept saying to me, Penny, we need a soup kitchen. Penny, we need the soup kitchen. Missions is my heart. And so I could hear it. I just knew that where we were on Baltimore Avenue would not work. It was downstairs. The fellowship hall was downstairs. There's really no parking. So, people would not be able to come because as just everybody knows, in the summer, getting parking in Rehoboth is atrocious. So I just knew it wouldn't work. And so once we started to talk about moving, I thought, it's going to work. It's going to work. So finally, Sylvia says, Penny, it's time. And Sylvia used to sing on the praise team. And Sylvia was a prayer. So I knew I had her back, or she had my back, because I knew I was covered in prayer and that this whole program would be covered in prayer before we even started. And Sylvia was on my team for a while. But anyway, that's jumping ahead. We got started by I called a meeting, and I was totally shocked. The meeting was called on a Sunday after church, and I would say there were at least 20 to 25 people there. I had the lady that does Just Soup come in just to sort of have my back again, also, in case I didn't know what I was talking about. And so we had a meeting, said what I'd like to do. And everybody said, the folks, most of the folks that were there, the ones that were willing, became soup team leaders. And then it was up to them to find team members. And the leaders, just as they say, just lead the group and decide when and where they're going, what they're going to fix. And we started out with a $500 donation. And in 1 week, we were up and running. I mean, it was like a miracle. Well, actually, it was probably a little more than a week. But on February 26th, the first soup team, and it was an all-male team, except for one lady. The rest of it was all males. And they took off with it. Our first Sunday, they had, I think we had maybe 20 people at the most. And I thought, 20 is better than none. And we averaged that for quite a while, between 20 and 25 people every Sunday. But we ended up with 5 soup teams at the time. And so that meant each team only had to work once every 5 weeks. And that was how we started. We just jumped in with both feet. And when we started, we just were making soup and offering soup and bread. Basically, that was, it was soup, bread, and drink. It's gotten a little more involved now, but that's because of food that has been donated and supplied that we now fix complete meals. But that's where we began. And then because of other food ministries we were doing, which was the International Student Dinners, Seaside Jewish community was involved with us in that. And so Seaside, they got thinking, we'd really like to have a soup team. Dill, I'm going to go to you and let you come in with how that came about, because I'm not sure how it all came about, because you were on my team. As a matter of fact, you still are.
Yes, I'm still on your team.
Little Dipper.
Seaside got involved initially as a once or twice visitation. So they thought the powers that be in Seaside thought it would be a good volunteer opportunity for folks in our congregation to work with your congregation. And I was part of that volunteer effort. And for me, I had just retired and moved down here full time, and the concept of feeding a family, and we are a family, is dear to my heart. Food is love. And so I joined whatever team. I showed up on every Sunday, whatever team would have me. I said, I have two hands, give me something to do. And the folks that I know from Seaside, the more they heard about the program and partnering also with the ISOP, the International Student Program, they said, we need to get more involved. We want to get more involved. Since I had been there essentially from the beginning, because I think I came in probably about a year after you started, they asked me if I would head up the team. And we have been blessed with many, many volunteers, sometimes too many. And I know that sounds odd, but when we were still serving in-house, I would have so many people in the kitchen. I couldn't find jobs for everybody. It's the soup kitchen has become over the years a gathering place. It's not just for the meal, it's for the socialization. And what we see when we were serving in-house, we have groups of older folks who would come and meet each other. They would almost schedule it for Sunday lunch to meet these other folks. And it got to be a very close-knit group to the point where they started celebrating birthdays in the soup kitchen.
Wow.
And it was wonderful to see. And they welcomed all the students, the not so well-off folks who would come in. And it wasn't a clique, it just became a big family. And that is so heartwarming and so important. And our food, as you have said, Penny, started out with soup and bread. When I came in, we were doing grilled cheese sandwiches and soup, and an occasional fruit, an apple or something like that. But over time, not only has the soup kitchen expanded, but the food rescue also expanded as more and more businesses in the area saw and heard what we were doing and were willing to become part of this by donating their produce, their meat, their fruit, all of these things, not only the canned goods for the Good Sam Pantry, but the perishables. And we couldn't expand our menu without the expansion of the food rescue program. And Jerry does a phenomenal job with that. The food that we serve now is a complete meal. It's an entree and a vegetable and a salad and fruit and dessert. Some of it's homemade. I mean, the desserts are a lot of times from Panera or one of the other grocery stores. But the meals that we serve are all produced in our kitchen from food that has been rescued. And it boggles my mind when I see how much food we actually collect. And the generosity of the community is awesome. Where when we started with the COVID program and the numbers that we were serving increased, people were literally going and buying pallets of food and donating them to the soup kitchen. Am I right, Penny?
Sorry, I was on mute. Yes.
Yeah.
All you have to do is put it out what you're doing, and people always want to be a part of something that is just helping others.
It makes everyone feel good.
It does.
Mhm.
It does.
And
And
and just to give people a sense of the magnitude of what we're
Yeah.
talking about,
Yeah.
in August this year, the food rescue team and the donations, it was 35,000 pounds of food.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
It's a
That's a
lot.
heck of a lot.
Yeah.
And then just, I think it was last week, we had 1,200 pounds of chicken donated.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my.
So
Maybe next
when
week
you
we'll
when
do
you say
chicken,
people
Kenny.
have stepped up,
Yeah.
people have really stepped up,
Yeah.
and it allows you all to make these great meals that people, can eat, and it's just great. Now, we talked a lot about when we used to serve people in the fellowship hall, and they had their parties, and the groups would meet, like it was a regular luncheon date, if you will. But talk about, if you would, the changes we've had to make because of COVID, how we've pivoted, and what you've seen as a result of that. And Penny or Dottie, whoever
Or Del,
wants
yeah.
to speak, go ahead.
Well, first off, it is definitely not the same. It doesn't feel the same to the team. It's you don't get quite the warm fuzzy because we put two people outside to help hand out the foods for Good Sam. And we know the food's going to people that need it, but you don't have that interaction. As Dill said, they become family. You get the same people week after week, and they become your family. You sit down and you talk to them. And I even have one team that instead of them coming, we always used to serve inside as a buffet, and they'd come up and we'd serve them that way. But I have one team that would literally treat them as if they were in a restaurant. And they would go out and take their orders and take the stuff out to them. But now, because of COVID, our numbers are much, much higher. But we have also gotten thank you notes and people that have come back and said, that was the best whatever soup I've ever had, or that was the best berry crumble, who made that, or can I have that recipe, which is a little kind of funny on some of this stuff because most of the time we don't have recipes. We just find out what we've got and sort of like chopped on TV and say, well, Louis could make this with it. And kind of that's how it goes. But our numbers went up, but again, because of donations, it became a takeout thing. But because we got huge donations of containers from restaurants that unfortunately didn't make it through the COVID. And so they knew what we were doing, and we got their containers, so we've didn't have to spend, because that was where we were spending more money on that than food, because as Jill said, the food was being donated through the grocery stores, some of the restaurants and things that we didn't have to buy food that often. I still have to make an order occasionally, but it's nowhere near it used to be. So,
And you talked, Penny, about both of you talked about the scale of the ministry. And we talked about, Bob let us know about almost, sounded like to me, if I'm doing my math right, about half a ton of food a day, or a little bit more in terms of rescue, which the rescue people informed me involves about 2/3 of the amount of perishable food that comes in from grocery stores and different retailers and things like that in the area. But when you say, Penny, you mentioned the numbers from pre-COVID to during the COVID shutdown. About how many meals would you say that you were preparing, I suppose, pre-COVID? And how many meals do you prepare on any given weekend now?
Well, normally we started out, it was around 25 and it would hit about 45. But then in the summer, because of the international students coming, this is in-house feeding, it would go up to 110 at least on a Sunday. Now we started a while back making 120 that we served outside at COVID since COVID. We served 100 or make 120, and that would last us a couple of days because they do the Good Sam 2 days a week. Well, they do it 3 days a week, but we try to make enough food to last Sunday and Tuesday.
Okay.
So now I was going down with the numbers to like 90, but I'm not sure. I'm going to have to see what happened today. And then last week, a couple of the numbers went up again. So, but we also make food that they take. We have a gentleman that delivers food to a couple of halfway houses and places over in Georgetown and Seaford. So if you add his 70, and then there's another lady that is running she runs a homeless shelter, and she picks up 20 every Sunday so that she maybe gets a break so that she doesn't have to cook on Sunday. So the numbers are higher on a regular basis, but if you're making 30, you might as well make 130. It's not, you just add a little more liquid to it and keep going.
Yeah, well.
I used to joke with my children when they would come to visit me and say, can we bring so-and-so or this friend or that friend? And I said, sure, I'll just put another cup of water in the soup. And basically that's what we're doing. To go, as Penny said, to go from 30 or 40 to 200 on a regular basis with the shelters that we feed. It's a lot.
Yeah.
But the need is there, and they are so grateful. One of the experiences that I had when we were still serving in-house, this gentleman would come every week, and he was nicely dressed, and he would walk in and put his motorcycle helmet on the chair next to him. And like I said, he was nicely dressed, not someone that you would expect to see in a Sunday soup kitchen. And this went on for probably a couple of months. And then one day he came up to the window and he said, "Where is your donation bucket? Because we do not ask for donations from the folks that we serve, but there is a donation bucket in the kitchen for church members who want to, who feel so inclined." And I showed him the bucket, and he said, and he put a $20 bill in the bucket. He said, "I just got a job."
Wow.
We had been feeding this gentleman for months, and he was so appreciative of what we did for him that he wanted to pay us back. And it just felt wonderful.
Yeah, he wanted to be part of the ministry too, right?
Yes.
Well, if I'm hearing you right, so you talked about 200 meals on a given weekend, and you can't really plan too far ahead in terms of, I hear the humility talking, where you're like, oh shucks, it's nothing, just add a cup of water. But you're talking about entrees and full meals that you can't really start planning before you know what specifically is coming in, right? And getting through the rescue triage, so to speak. So when do you usually know as team leaders? And I think we have 6 teams that are rotating through.
Yes.
So when do you usually know what kind of food you're going to have to put together these meals, these 200 meals? I mean, gosh, talk about a multitude.
Well, we're very fortunate. We get food rescue from Meat Rescue every Monday.
Mm-hmm.
So every Monday, Giant here in Rehoboth, the things that, are going out of date or just went out of date, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with it, they have to get rid of it, So they freeze it and they send it to us every Monday. So I do have a little bit of supply stuff in the freezer, like hamburger and pork loins and chicken and things like that, sausages. So we do keep some things. What we don't know whether we're going to have each week is the vegetables to make whatever kind of soup or to go along with it. Like I may say to Dill, I got a lot of burger in the freezer. What are you going to make this time? And I may make a suggestion to her because right now, Dill, I got a lot of burger and I got a lot of potatoes, which looks like shepherd's pie to me. But that's how we do it. We just take what we've got and make whatever. We're very fortunate. One of the teams has a lady on the team that is a chef. She went to chef school.
Oh my gosh.
Culinary school. So, her meals come out a little different than some of the rest of ours because she knows what, Well, we get donations for sometimes some odd stuff. So like she'll make Mediterranean chicken.
Wow.
Or something to that sort. So you make what you got.
Yeah.
So, and that's how you do it. You use, and it's if you don't, I don't think we've ever not had something
to
make.
Every weekend
It
an
is
adventure.
like the TV shows with the mystery box. You never know what you're going to find when you open the refrigerator.
Right. So when I guess it just amazes me. I mean, I don't do much cooking in our house. I'm the cleaning guy. And so I'm just astounded at the, accomplishment of putting a banquet together, weekend after weekend. Do recipes that you, sort of a go-to recipes in your respective homes, do they all scale up, or how in the world do you cook for 200 people? I'm curious. I mean, just big pots?
I don't even know what to say.
I'm not, I take my lead from Penny and this other lady, Kara, who is a trained chef.
Yeah.
And I get ideas from them. But I also utilize ideas of things that I like to eat. So if you're going to say that, gee, I have a boatload of butternut squash or sweet potatoes, and I know the weather is going to be chilly, sweet potato chili works, or butternut squash soup. You take your cues from what you have, what the weather is, the clientele that you're serving.
Right.
And sometimes things that you think are wonderful, they don't like.
Oh no.
Yeah, the other day I wanted to make beet soup, and somebody told me that they didn't think that would be the thing to do. I don't know. I like my beet soup.
Beet soup is wonderful, but it's an acquired taste.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And yes, it is difficult or challenging for me at least
Mm-hmm.
to take a recipe that I would normally make for 6 or 8 people
Right.
and
Right.
expand it to 200.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
To me, that's the most challenging part about it.
Right.
And convincing my team when they say, "Gee, there's an awful lot of food. Do we have to peel all of these potatoes?" I said, "Yup, because we're feeding 200 people." When you look at it as a non-professional,
Mm-hmm.
it's an enormous amount of food,
Right. Yeah.
but it all disappears.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And I also heard both of your hearts when you were talking about this shift from being able to, I know you said several times in-house. And so for those of us who aren't as familiar, and you've talked about, these were, family style, sitting at tables in the fellowship hall on Sundays, Sunday afternoons, right? Sunday for lunch. Sitting around the table, sometimes buffet style, or sometimes being served at the table. And then all of that stopped with the COVID shutdown, obviously to keep everyone safe, the people who are serving, the people who are eating. And then we began boxing things up, putting them in these containers that many of which were donated to us. And I really hear your hearts about then suddenly being disconnected. I remember for several years reading for the blind. I was part of a reading for the blind program, and I would read newspaper articles, and read for probably, I don't know, several hours a day for a week, and then turn my readings and recordings in, and then it was part of this program. And I did it for about 6 or 7 years, but I never had any kind of contact with anybody who was reading, the material. And, it was, just one thing. I mean, not that I wanted anybody to say, "Great job, Bo," but just any kind of contact with the people. I felt like I was sending these bottles out into the ocean. What have you been able to do as team leaders to help with that connection? You said some of these notes come back, and I suppose maybe sharing those notes with the team. What are there any other things where you've been able to bridge that divide?
Well, I can speak for my team. Basically, I have the same people that go out each Sunday that my team's up, to hand out the food, and they always let us know how much the food is appreciated. And then some of it also goes to other places, like what goes to Seaford. And again, we are told how much it is appreciated. And we just build each other up when we're doing the cooking, because we know that it's going to people that need it. Even though we don't get to talk to them. And if you share the numbers of people and how many children, because children is a biggie, it helps keep the spirits up. But each team is a family. Each team has 10 to 12 people on it. If you go to one team and say, "Hey, I need to take," or if I go and say, "Hey, I need to take Dill off Seaside team and put her somewhere else," Seaside's going to kill me. Okay, they're just gonna. I may not have a Seaside team anymore. Okay, they're going to say, "Nope, that doesn't work." So everybody, your teams, not that they become cliques, but they become family. That you become family, and you take care of each other, and so it's just works. It works. All I can say is it amazes me, but it works.
And I would second that. The care that the team folks put into the work that they do. they're concerned about making sure that it's properly made and that
Mhm.
it tastes good,
Mhm.
and that they're cooking for their family. And
Mhm.
that's the way I've
Mhm.
encouraged my folks to be, because
Yeah.
we are family,
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
all of
Yeah.
us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Just for the records,
Yeah.
um, just for the record, most of the team members have also all had safe food handling course,
Mhm.
so
Absolutely.
Mhm.
that we know we're not just in there playing. We know
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
know what to do and how to do it, with the gloves, the washing the hands, the hat, all of the things to keep the food safe and keep our people, because
Yeah.
um not knock on wood, but
Right.
thank you, Jesus. Nobody, as far as we know, has ever gotten ill.
Right.
And I'd
Right.
like it to stay that way.
Yeah.
We've been doing it for
Absolutely.
10 years now, or almost 10
Yeah.
years. And
Yeah.
I just, it amazes me. It just amazes me.
Yeah. Well, like you said, Dill, that's
So,
another area where if you're thinking we're not helping poor people. These are our family members. These are our,
Mhm.
God is the head of this family. These are our sisters and brothers, and so like you said, Penny, that's another example of we're making good, tasty food, but also being safe. And I appreciate you letting us know about that too. That's an interesting part of this. Um, in the time we have left, we talked about sort of tight knit families. Is there a need at this point for people to join these teams, or I know there are other parts of our food ministries, and we talked before we started this live stream that Bob and I look forward to conversations just like this one with some other other teams. We've mentioned Food Rescue, also Good Sam that does distribution. And Dottie then leads a crew of people that receive the donations. And they also keep up with the weight of usually non-perishables that then people bring in on the other side of the church when we're distributing food these different 3 days a week. So, would you say, and if there is a need, then what would people do, or who would they contact to be perhaps a substitute member, or to start in some training or whatever to be a part of this program? Because I imagine some people may be listening either tonight or later, might be moved as you have been to be a part of this. What should they do, and what should they expect?
um, I would probably suggest, if anybody's interested, and there's always room. I try my best not to turn anybody away. And there are some people that come, they try it, and they think, no, this isn't what I really thought I wanted. I thought I wanted to do this, and this isn't it. Um, but I don't like to say no. So they can either call the church, and the Debbie will give them my email address, and I will be happy to contact them and see if we can't find a place for them. And if it's not cooking, and it's helping Jerry with donations, or doing the triage or pickup of the foods, there are a million different places. But if they want to work in the kitchen, we'll give you a shot. There's always room. What's Rehoboth's room for all? Well, room for one more.
That's right.
You know?
That's right.
So besides, maybe somebody will come along and they'll want to be a team leader, and we'll end up with 7
There you
teams, and then
go.
we'll only do it every 7 weeks.
There you
Who
go.
knows?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
um, like I said, it's been going on a lot longer than I ever anticipated. I mean, I didn't ever think it would stop, but I did not
Right.
expect, I don't know what I expected,
Yeah.
to be honest.
Yeah.
Um, but it's been a journey. It's been a journey, and one I'm glad that Sylvia convinced me we should start
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and also, This year, we will not be doing Thanksgiving, unfortunately. We normally do a in-house Thanksgiving dinner, but once again, they will be doing the takeaway with that you'll, unfortunately, the folks will have to cook themselves, but we'll have either turkey or chicken, depending on the size of the family and all the fixings to go with the Thanksgiving dinner. So they'll be getting ready to start collecting for that anytime now.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right,
again,
that's
if
been
they
a
contact,
tradition. Yeah, that's been a tradition as well. I'm sorry I interrupted. If they contact the office, were you saying?
well, contact the office as far as getting my email address,
Mm-hmm.
and I will be more than happy to respond
Yeah.
to anybody that wants to help. All you have to do is follow directions most of the time, because somebody will tell you what to do.
Good stuff. Bob, you got something on your mind as we get ready to close?
No, I just want to thank both Penny and Dill for their leadership
Yes. Yes.
within the ministry. I know how much effort it takes, how much work it takes. Because I have volunteered a couple of times, during the ISOP meals, and I've been part of food rescue. So there's a lot of work that goes on, and I'm just so grateful that you two have dedicated a significant portion of your time to this ministry. And all the people who are benefiting from this, I would assume would echo my thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you provide a service and wholesome food for these people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's just phenomenal.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. And make a family. I love talking,
Mm-hmm.
thinking about that. And thank you for, lifting that up, Dill. It's a great thing to think about, because I think that's God's desire for us all, is to be back together again as a family, from being separated for all the different reasons that separate us. So what a great vision that that you've given us, and that you're demonstrating for us again for these. Going to see if I can think and talk at the same time. Just want to show this banner again that on the 26th of September, who could have imagined it? We celebrated. This is just 2 Sundays ago. We celebrated the 500th continuous Sunday soup kitchen. Just an extraordinary milestone. Without a stop, no breaks. Didn't take off a Sunday. All the teams working together to support each other, and it was hard to try to find a way to honor that celebration in the way it deserved, because it's just mind blowing to think about that kind of dedication, and I feel like the energy and the passion for that can only come from God. And what Bob has said, just thank God for you two, for the dedication from the very start, for the teams that you've worked with and made a family, and for the other team leaders, for our chef that helps us, and of course for all the people who have, and you described a couple of them to us tonight, who have opened their hearts and have been vulnerable enough to come be a part of the meal, and to realize that they're not going to be judged here, and that they are part of the family. So, as we close, could I offer a prayer then for you all, for the team members, for all the team members, for everyone that we serve on a regular and a weekly basis, as we celebrate what God is doing, what God has done, and what God will do among us and through us, and in this family. Dear God, we thank you so much for this night of celebration, these stories that we have heard about faithfulness and creativeness, about generosity in our community, God. Not only from our faith communities at Seaside, at Epworth, where we might expect generosity and faith, but in grocery stores and among restaurants, restaurant owners, and other members of the community who feel a heart tug to be a part of this ministry of love, of preparing food and cooking food and then serving up love. Not just nourishment for the body, but nourishment for the soul. And God, I give you thanks for this original prompting from Sylvia Walker, and that Penny shared, and that the vision became a reality in the kitchen facilities and the fellowship hall facilities that then made room for the dream of this ministry. And then for Penny and for Dill and for others who pioneered not so long ago, putting a pot of soup on and serving some bread, and the expansion then of the table from an original couple dozen, 3 dozen people to now over 200 served here, and in faraway places where other ministers are carrying the food to them. Continue to give these leaders and team members the fire and the passion of your love and your spirit and your energy, from which there's just an eternal spring of your living water. And thank you, God, for the promise, not only of your calling, but for the promise of a vision that, again, Dill shared with us tonight, that we are all your family, that the food that we're serving, I hope, meets the needs of people who will be hungry again and who will be needing and looking for another meal, but that through this continual service of love, that we will all be more than satisfied as we find our place around your table. And to this end, we make our prayer in the power of your love. Amen.
Amen.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Bob. Brother Bob, thank you for this vision that we continue on. We are hoping next month on the second Sunday of November. What night is that, Bob? I haven't got that on my calendar yet.
I don't know. I don't have my calendar handy.
We're going to be meeting together again at 6:30 on the second Sunday of November, and I'm going to find my calendar real quick. It's going to be the 14th of November for another Hope Floats episode, and our focus is going to be on the thrift shop ministry, part of the New Life Thrift Shop that also got its start out of a basement at Epworth, and then has grown to support many ministries through the cooperative ministries of the Lewis and Rehoboth area congregations, of which both of our communities, faith communities, are a part as well. So that's going to be our focus next week. Thank you again, Penny and Dill, for joining us tonight. God bless you both. And I look forward to hearing more stories of God's great goodness and good food through your hands and hearts. Take good care.
Thank you.
Be safe.
Thank you, Penny. Thank you, Dill.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Bob. Bye.
Bye.